I am privileged to introduce the writer of the song Stop, Hey, What's That Sound? A rock and roll legend who spent most of his early years right here in Gainesville, Mr. Stephen Stills. Mr. Stills, Mr. Stills was a member of Manassas, Buffalo, Springfield, Crosby, Stills, and Nash, and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. He is a two-time Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee, a member of the Songwriters Hall of Fame, and he's been ranked by Rolling Stone among the 30 greatest guitarists of all time. Mr. Stills attended the local J.J. Finley Elementary School, Gainesville High School, and he was almost a student at the University of Florida, but I'm going to let him tell that story. From Gainesville, he went to New Orleans and New York, and from there rose to international fame, writing classics including Love the One You're With and Sweet Judy Blue Eyes. You'll get to hear the University Concert Choir perform one of his songs, Helplessly Hoping, after Mr. Stills' speech. And at the end of the ceremony, during the recessional, we'll hear another Stills original, So Begins the Task. Mr. Stills continues to record and perform, including a tour and a recent album everybody knows with singer-songwriter Judy Collins, the subject of Sweet Judy Blue Eyes. Mr. Stills has a long-standing connection to the University of Florida, and specifically to our College of the Arts and its School of Music. The Gator Marching Band practices in a room in which it is named in his honor. And this past year, the UF School of Music recommended him for an honorary doctorate in music. And the University of Florida Faculty Senate and the Board of Trustees approved that recommendation. We presented the honorary degree yesterday at our doctoral ceremony. And one of Mr. Stills' memories from his youth in Gainesville is selling sodas right here in Ben Hill Grafen Stadium. Will you please join me in welcoming Dr. Stephen Stills back to the swamp to serve as our December 2018 commencement guest speaker.
Thank you. I don't know quite what to make of this, but I'm really, really happy to be here. I'm delighted to have the opportunity to join you on the occasion of your graduation from the storied University of Florida, and offer my heartfelt congratulations, my admiration, and vast appreciations for your outstanding achievement in having survived college life. And much to your surprise, perhaps you learned something. In all seriousness, you have learned a great deal, which has made, otherwise we wouldn't be here celebrating the fact that you have not only proved yourself equal to the scholastic demand that you carefully read the assignment material and deemed pertinent by your professors to equip you for a thoroughgoing grasp of the subject matter, and write a report that reflects your level of understanding as it evolves. But furthermore, to seek out related materials that might extensively expand your understanding more fully and allow you to absorb a deeper comprehension, one that can often lead to one's acquiring mastery. To merit recognition for having surpassed the expectations and to display an advanced level of comprehension demands that your summary at the end of term offers you the opportunity to present, if well written enough, evidence of the ability to expand on your subject well beyond the intended scope of the course, and prove yourself to have truly mastered the subject. I find it most ironic that someone such as myself, with literally no experience at university-level studies, should presume to offer up such a preposterous observation, having been invited to merely provide a few words of wisdom. Nonetheless, I will soldier on, if for no other reason than the sheer entertainment value it might provide in sharing a few observations I have about life its own self, and the transition to life after college, you are all destined to suffer. So what is next? If you have in mind a certain calling, postgraduate study, or have been recruited to a top-level job, run for it. But if you're not yet sure what you intend to do at some point, while it's still fresh in your mind, I recommend that you find some rest and solitude and reflect upon the entire course of study you have just completed, how it unfolded from start to finish. Perhaps the thought that went into its progression will come to you, or perhaps it already has. The way certain courses impacted each other, as your professors, in their wisdom, thought it essential for you to be surreptitiously taught to think. It's meant to expand your mind and leave a little room for your creativity, to resist the impulse to settle on the first thing that pops into your head. You might come back to it, but at the very least, you've given an idea room to breathe. It's one thing to be decisive, and quite another to decisively rush to judgment, only to find that you've made a colossal blunder as an unforeseen consequence comes crashing down on your head, and realize too late that you failed to properly think things through. I followed my instinct with surprising success over the course of my career, but then again, instinct plays a fundamental role in shaping the desire to become a musician in the first place, and the hundreds of hours of practice it takes to become proficient enough to be invited to play with equally talented musicians, and further develop the skills necessary to willingly adapt to the nuances of your colleagues in order to achieve a unified sound, unique to your ensemble, which will thereby prepare you for the instinctive collaboration common among collaborative musicians, and thus fully qualified to play with almost anybody, provided, of course, that you've acquired the ability to sight read effortlessly. Sadly, my ability to learn everything by heart so quickly left me utterly deficient in this essential skill and almost totally reliant upon talented copyists and master composers to pull my arrangements out of me over my entire career. In short, had I finally gotten in, I would have never made the Gator Band. At this point, I must address the myth that I was ever a fully accredited student at this university. It has taken me far too long to research and reacquaint myself with the facts of that chaotic time in my life. Having lived in Gainesville several different times during my childhood, once again as a junior in high school at Gainesville High School Hurricanes, and a year later, I spent a few months in an attempt to realize my dream of attending the University of Florida, the only place that I ever intended to go to college. I arrived here having completed my high school studies at a fine prep school in Costa Rica, only a few weeks after the tragic death of President Kennedy in Dallas. I intended upon being accepted by the university and audaciously seeking to commence my studies at mid-year after the winter break. My records were scattered along with my family, so I had little in my possession to convince the registrar that I even finished high school, let alone qualified for admission. After a flurry of persistence, my records did arrive, but too late to review in time for my extraordinary request. I recall some concern being voiced about the disparity between my grades and the uncommonly high marks I had made on my scholastic tests and my college entrance exam. Or they thought for a moment that perhaps I'd been educated in Spanish, and I was asked to attend the university's remedial prep school and told I'd be granted provisional admission to the University of Florida. I received an A+ because that was my best subject. The catch was that I had to wait until the following fall term to begin my freshman year. So I made my way to New Orleans and got the first job I applied for, singing in a Bourbon Street folk music club. I quickly tired of the chaos of Upper Bourbon Street and made my way to New York City and then to California. The rest, as they say, is history. 18 months after my departure from Gainesville, the Buffalo Springfield, and my song that has been quoted today put an end to my elusive college career, and I've been at it ever since. But my love for the University of Florida has remained undiminished since 1953, when I first laid on her as a mere second grader at J.J. Finley Elementary School. Congratulations, graduates, and go Gators! Thank you very much.